flashcards to study your words.
All right, y'all. So usually the next thing we
Convection.
is vocabulary. You guys all have access to this at spellingcity.com, and username is my last name, Atkins, Atkins, a number 1 through 25. So Atkins 2, password is Oregon, Oregon. So you do have access to writing all these down, flipping through the flashcards all on your own. I'm just going to kind of go over them here in this video briefly, and then I'm going to post the pictures that I would have drawn. I have a copy of them. So just to have the discussion here. Okay. So convection. Convection is the transfer of thermal energy by the movement of liquids or gases. We've talked about convection in matter. We talked about convection in the Earth, the center of the Earth. Convection is the reason that all the plates are moving, because hot magma rises and it pushes the plates either, together, apart, or by each other. So convection, hot air rises, cold air sinks, hot magma rises, hot water, and the other one sinks until they're trying to get to that equilibrium or boiling.
Conduction.
Conduction. Okay, so transfer substance through direct contact. I always use the example duct tape. I can't take a piece of duct tape and stick it to the air. It doesn't stay there. It's not going to stay there. Duct tape has to be stuck to something, and it's going to stay. And so there's the word D-U-C-T.
Conduction.
Duct tape. Okay, conduction is through direct contact. You touch a stove, you're gonna, and it's been on, the heat is gonna go to your hand because you're touching the stove. Convection is if your hand's over the top of the stove and you feel the heat coming up, that's the air. Okay.
Radiation.
Radiation. The transfer of energy by electromagnetic waves. This is the sun. This is fire. It's through the air coming through the waves, because we're not touching the sun, y'all, and the sun's not making hot air and cold air rise and sink. It's just coming at you at one time.
Expansion.
So remember, if you add heat, things expand. So the tendency of matter to change in shape, area, and volume in response to a change in temperature through heat transfer. A soda has gas in it. You add heat and the can goes and gets bigger and it pops because it is expanding. It needs to move. The ground expands in the winter because there's water in the ground. And so when all that water freezes, you're like this, and then it gets bigger. That I always tell the story of where I used to live. They have a back door and they put a lock on the back door, little opening, closing. Well, they did it in the wintertime. So wintertime, it matches up and you can slide the little lock across. But in the summertime, the lock's like this. So you have to lift the door up to slide the lock, because when they put it on, it matched up when they put it on, but it didn't match up when the ground went back to its regular.
Absorption.
Absorb. Okay. So when the energy from a wave is taken in by another object, the absorptional light creates darkness. So for absorbing everything, remember, if we black is the absorption of all colors. If we see something as red, it's absorbing all the colors but red. So what is taking in the sound? What is taking in the colors?
Scattering.
Scattering. This is why the sky is blue. The spreading out of light rays in all direction as particles reflect and absorb the light. So it's going through, and it's not just going directly through and bending, it's going through and going everywhere. This is like translucent. Light goes through a translucent thing, but it doesn't go in a direct path. It goes through and then goes everywhere.
Color perception.
We talked a little bit about this when we were talking in the color and eye PowerPoint. And so the way your eyes and your visual cortex perceive or understand color. We see colors differently than other people. One part, see, like I held up my cup one time and someone's like, oh, that's blue. Oh, that's green. Oh, it changes based on how you perceive a color, how your eyes understand it. Is it a bright blue? Is it a dark blue? Is it teal? Etc.
Contraction.
Contraction, the act or process of making something smaller. Your eyes contract, okay, to allow how much light comes in your pupil. It's making contraction is like the ground when it gets smaller. So you have expansion and then contraction, making smaller.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. What word do you hear in there? Yes, equal. All right, equal is the state of equality or balance between two things. Which, remember, there's no such thing as cold. So your body wants to be in equilibrium with the air around it. So you have your house set at 60 degrees. Well, your body's 98 degrees. So it's going to be giving off its heat to try to get to equilibrium. That's why you start feeling cold. It's like, wait a second, I'm giving all my heat away. I'm not getting nothing in return. So I got to work harder to make my, equilibrium. Everything, it wants to be balanced. It doesn't want to be hotter or warmer or colder.
Transmission.
Transmission. No, not the thing in your car. Occurs when energy from a wave is moved through an object without being absorbed or scattered. It goes right through, like a transparent object. It goes right through. Nothing's absorbed, nothing's scattered. It's just going through.
Refraction.
Refraction, we've had this word before, occurs as when a wave bends around an object. Why you hear me in another room, why the straw looks bent and liquid. It's going through two different mediums.
Reflection.
Reflection, the bouncing back of a wave, a mirror. It hits, it comes back, you're seeing a reflection.
Wavelength.
Wavelength, point on the wave to the same point on the next wave. Usually measured crest to crest or trough to trough.
Ultraviolet light.
Okay, ultraviolet. It's shorter wavelength than visible light. It causes sunburns. So remember, we have the whole electromagnetic spectrum. Visible light is really the small electromagnetic spectrum. Visible light. Before we get to visible light, though, actually after, is ultraviolet. Ultraviolet, because, Roy G. Biv, violet's on the end. Ultraviolet's after that. It's light coming from the sun, and it causes sunburn.
Infrared light.
Infrared light is light with a longer wavelength than visible light. It's what we use for heat imaging. For both of these last two words, I'm going to post a link along with this video so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about, have the visual of what I'm talking about. Thermal energy can be seen through night vision goggles. So you get to see, okay, people are outside, they look in the house, everything's dark except for, one person, because, your hands might be a little bit colder than the rest of your body, so they see the red, and they're like, okay, there's one person in that house. Or, oh, there's 5 people in that house, one's in this room, one's in that room, by using the heat imaging.
Light.
Light is made of electromagnetic waves capable of warming objects. Just think about a light bulb. You don't shut off a light and immediately try to take out a light bulb to change it. If you do, you're going to burn your hand, and it does not feel nice. It's what's coming from the sun, and we feel that as heat as well.
Electrical conductor.
Okay, so there's 2 types of conductors. If it's an electrical conductor, it moves electrical energy from place to place through direct contact. Something plugged into the wall moving through the wires. And then there's a thermal conductor, which moves heat energy from place to place through direct contact. Heat energy. So you have thermal, which deals with heat. Electrical deals with electricity and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm going to post the 2 videos. I'm going to post pictures so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And then if you want to go ahead and go online and write these down, being prepared. All right, have a good one.
You've seen all the cards.